Thank you for sticking around. I realize I'm the guy between you and happy hour, so I'll make this as short as possible. I wanted to talk about this slide, this profile slide. I was going to take this out, but it's a good example of poor two-way communication. So I was doing my slides for this presentation, right? And I was just about to send them off to Dieter, and I got a slide deck from Dieter. Tweddle and Empolis are doing a joint presentation in Munich this Monday. If you're there, hopefully you'll see it. And I open up his slide deck, and here's his profile slide of Dieter on there. So I'm, damn, I got to put a profile slide in. So I put this profile slide in, and I realized no one else had a profile slide. So I figured I'd leave it in there, and I'd talk at it a little bit. So that's me, a couple things, flannel shirt. Rarely wear a suit. In fact, I was a little nervous whether or not I had a suit that even fit after the holidays. So I had to wear gray instead of blue, because the blue one didn't fit. Great hairline. That's why Stefan, Dieter, we get along very, very well. I live in Detroit, so this is going to be an automotive discussion, so let's have fun with that. But I'm originally from Philadelphia, in a town called Valley Forge, so I am from the Valley, technically. Who is Tweddle? Again, Dieter said, put some overview slides in. He just gave the damn overview. But anyway, who we are is we don't like to define ourselves in terms of being a publisher or a printer or the things we produce. Some people, Dieter, don't like what we produce, and hopefully we'll go away, but we won't, and I'll explain that in a second. But we're about solutions, right, and figuring out solutions and defining solutions and bringing solutions to the market that are based on discovery and then solving real-world problems for automotive OEMs. You've probably never heard of us because we work just for the automotive OEMs. We do nothing else. We're a white label company. Everything we do, we hand over to the OEM except for the IP that we develop in our processes, and it becomes theirs and for their customers. And our focus is in two areas. It's in the owner information side. Dieter's right, we do about 12 million owner manual kits a year, and we are trying to get rid of that, so we'll talk about that in a second. But we're really here today to talk about a case around service-based information. Here's where we are. We're in a lot of places. We're not in Germany, so any potential customers here, I got business cards with me in my bag. This is kind of what we do. And thank you, Dieter. This is now a relevant slide. We're a knowledge-based company, right? We have subject matter experts that build solutions around information development, management, and delivery. And yes, we still deliver print. Thank you to legal departments. But because of the changes in attitudes and changes in behaviors and changes of the way people like to consume information, we do a lot more now. Right? We do a lot of multimedia. We do a lot of the video-based stuff that Dieter talked about. Challenge now for OEMs, discovery of that information on Google versus third-party content. But we're really growing in that area. And this is the deliverables that come out of it. The owner's information. Yep, a big part of our business is still that owner's manual in the glove box. In fact, when I started at Tweddle 13 years ago, Andy Tweddle, who's the grandson of the founder, Edmund, in my interview said, we are the biggest publisher of information that nobody ever reads. And he was proud of that. And I looked and he said, but I want you to come here and help us move from print to digital. And I said, but Andy, if we do that, people will now be able to measure that situation, and that'll put us in a world of bad. So we began to kind of extend what we do in the automotive industry, from just the owner's manual to all the information that's housed in that glove box kit. And also, we've extended ourselves very much into the service and diagnostic information area, and that's what we're here really to talk about today. And then there's this other category that's really influencing the other two, what we call vehicle relationship management. And it's about how can I use the technology and the data coming off the vehicle and in the vehicle to help do the other two better, right? So how can I use the navigation screen? Anybody here from Mercedes and Daimler? How can I use that navigation screen to put the owner information there, connect it to the controller area network of the car, and maybe preempt some instructions on behalf of that owner. And then how can I use that data coming off the car to make the diagnostic procedures better and to make the diagnostic process in the service bay faster? So we're here to talk about a practical use case, a practical example of using the partnership between Tweddle and Empolis, using Empolis's smart information management backend and our front-end knowledge and applications to develop something we call intelligent diagnostics. So here's the challenge. Fix right first visit. Show of hands. Who's brought their car in with their check engine light on? They said they fixed it, and then a week, month later, it comes back on, you got to bring it back in again. A few, not too many because you probably all drive Mercedes and BMWs, right? But it's a big problem for the mass market manufacturers, the FCAs of the world, even Ford, others. It's a really, really big problem. And it's a metric they really, really follow. It's fixed right first visit because that metric really drives what those OEMs pay in warranty, right? And it's been proliferating over time because more and more of the problems are vehicle electronics related. Meaning, so over 50% of the warranty costs in the car is now vehicle electronics. So vehicles are getting highly complex. It's no longer carburetor, even a simple fuel injection system. Now the steering's electronic, the brakes electronic. There's tons of control modules in cars today. There's millions and millions of lines of code supporting those control modules. The vehicles are getting far more complex. And because of these systems, recalls have tripled in the last 30 years. And for some OEMs, it's 5, sometimes 10-fold of what it was 30 years ago. And more than 50%, this is an interesting stat, more than 50% of the control modules or control units that are replaced in service go back and are reviewed and found to be technically error-free. So there's something wrong with the diagnostic process today. One of the things that we see is the technicians are slow to benefit from the field experience that's out there. Somebody follows a procedure, recognizes that, hey, this procedure's a little wrong, it could be adjusted a little bit, or we're seeing trends about a certain failed part, or maybe a poorly seated connector, and this information in the field isn't getting back to the other technicians throughout the states, the United States, to the other dealerships. This field experience, let's call them diagnostic sessions or cases, are not curated quickly and efficiently. It takes a long time for these sessions to get back to the technical writer, let's call him the knowledge-based developer, to update the information to get it back to the technician. And these gaps begin to grow immediately at product launch. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the orange-yellow line, think of this as the expectations of the engineer when they built the system. So at product launch, the engineers have all the knowledge, right? And they think over time, they'll still have all the knowledge about that car. But actually, immediately after launch, the field starts to gain that knowledge as well. As these vehicles start to come in for service, they start to see the problems and they start to learn more about that car. And their knowledge actually surpasses the engineering expectations of the OEM. And that continues as the life of the vehicle goes on and continues after warranty, where after warranty, the engineers don't care anymore because they're on to the next product life cycle. So the challenge becomes, how do you capture this field experience in a way that you can bring it back into a system and modify the engineering methods and diagnostic procedures quickly so that all the other technicians in the field can take advantage of it. So this is why I needed the pointer. So I drew this. Anybody in automotive, don't beat me up on this slide. I know it's not exactly right, but it's just here for a point. So this is kind of today, typical. Let's call them OEM X. All of this information, by the way, is digital today. We don't print any service manuals anymore. Owner's manuals, yes, thanks to legal departments. But on the service side, no. It's all digital. That doesn't mean it's digitized. It's optimized. Right? Some of it's in PDF, some of it's in flat HTML, some of it's in interactive HTML. It's all over the map. But it's really a one-time publish still until an event happens that's critical and the technical writer may do a service bulletin or may update that procedure. But how that happens today is, okay, say you bring your car into the service bay. It's got a problem. Technician connects it to a scan tool, starts to interrogate, gathering from the service information out of the OEM's delivery system. When they may, if they're having a significant problem, they may call the technical hotline. And the technical hotline will attempt to help that technician. Once that vehicle is repaired, that work order in the dealership, right, goes to the service manager. There may have been a parts replacement, so the parts manager's involved in that. Eventually gets to a warranty administrator that submits that over to the OEM's warranty department for payment. Over time, these warranty claims make their way to the quality department. Some of it is filtered out and makes its way to engineering. And then from engineering, it may eventually get back to the guy who wrote the procedure regarding that system in the first place. Sometimes it's short-circuited and someone smart on the hotline goes, hey, there's something wrong here, and contacts the technical service operations or publication organization. Doesn't happen that often. They update it, and away you go. This is a very long process. Months, often months. So here's the solution we've been thinking about, and we've actually implemented this with the help of Empolis, is what if everything could occur in real time? What if, when the writer publishes something and the technician uses it, the writer can kind of interrogate what's going on with my procedure? What's going on with that? Is it being used? What is the branch that's used most often? Are there fixes or repairs that are occurring that aren't even in my procedure at all? What if we could do that? What if we could take data off the vehicle in real time to a telematics service and actually apply it to the system? What if you had an analyst instead of warranty? Why don't we have an analyst here with a business intelligence interface to this system that can analyze what's going on and quickly then deliver that to warranty or deliver that to engineering so they can see trends in the market and trends going on in real time? Why not have the technical hotline use the same system? Today, these are usually disparate systems, not tied at all to the technical publication systems. And then, of course, the technical writer. What if we built this? And what if it included the ability to support multi-faults, a relevancy algorithm based on the data coming in to promote fixes or probable causes? It contains a case-based reasoning tool to assist with that algorithm. Can integrate with all the other systems from the dealer management systems to the as-built systems within the OEM to the warranty systems, et cetera, and then integrates with all that other content that isn't printed anymore, but the repair content, how to remove something, how to replace something, the specifications for it. What if we put this all together in real time, what it would look like? What would it look like? What would I get? Well, here's an example of what you can get. So I had this at the end, and I moved it to the front because I thought it was very, very relevant. The system updates around the concept of sessions, right? So we look at each diagnostic anytime something happens to the car. So let's go through a scenario, a telematics scenario. Your check engine light comes on. Codes are set. Often it's more than one, right? How they get off the car today, some telematics systems deliver that directly to a system at the OEM. Sometimes it's through an OBD port and to a third party, et cetera, but that data comes off. That to us is when a diagnostic session should start, not when the technician plugs in the scan tool in the service bay, not when the service writer writes it up in terms of what you saw in your car, what light came on, or what symptom, or what sound, or what smell. Whatever you can get off the car right away. Once a behavior on the car changes, we light up what we call a diagnostic session. And from that diagnostic session, then is where the service writer starts. So he opens it up, he enters a VIN, the session's already there. He already has some data about the car. He already has some ideas in terms of what it might be. And he starts that session and he assigns it to a technician. Now, when it gets in a service bay, technician logs in, same session. And this goes on all the way around until the technician diagnoses and fixes the car, tells us what the problem was. We can track, and we do track, every step that the technician took through that procedure to see if they followed the tree or they skipped the tree. We give them the option to skip the tree. We give them the option to go right to what they think, what their knowledge is, especially the master technicians. He might have seen this situation 20 times. Not going to force him through a tree. We're going to let him say, nope, based on the probable causes, yep, I think it's this. I'm going to go that and fix it. Put that in as a session. Those sessions go back into the knowledge base. This isn't AI. I call it FI. So it's not artificial intelligence, it's field intelligence. So it goes into the system, but it's not exposed to the technician right away. It goes to a knowledge-based developer, or the technical writer now becomes a knowledge-based developer. And they interrogate and curate all of this information coming in from the field to say, valid, not valid, and that goes in. Not valid is very, very important, the warranty, by the way. Right? So they curate this, and the system continues to learn and learn and learn. So what's it look like? There's a bunch of applications on the front end for authoring, for connecting to the CMS, connecting to the vehicle data, for reporting. Then there's a bunch of modules for guided troubleshooting, something called harness tracer. I keep pushing the wrong button, which I won't talk about today, but anyone down Monday will see that as a separate case. There's a service cases, service diagnostics. There's an auto answer feature. Now this is kind of neat. So our technical writers, Tweddle is the writer for FCA in North America. So they don't use their own writers, it's Tweddle. Our writers tag that information so that the system can, if it has access to the information from the car, can interrogate the car and answer a lot of the tree. So that basically the system walks the tree for the technician, shortening the amount of time and effort that technician has to take to actually diagnose it. And then there's a bunch of services on top for knowledge-based authoring and management. So the basic features is it's a cloud-based web application, has multi-fault diagnostic reasoning, has smart troubleshooting, pause and resume sessions. So a session, again, starts at the car and ends when a certified technician closes it and sends it and attaches it to the repair order. So a session can continue with multiple technicians. So I may have a technician that starts it and their shift ends, or they're not comfortable with the potential repair where it is, and so we might pull another technician in to finish it and go on from there. So it's a very, very powerful part of the tool. The solution relevancy, as I talked about, the technician feedback channel, which is so important to the system, which creates this closed-loop reporting, and a bunch of optional features and benefits. What it looks like, Hans, I think, is still here. There is a demo outside that he can demo for you. There he is over there to show you the interface. But essentially, how it works is there is the area for if vehicles are connected, and based on the user's profile, that dealership, when they log in, when the service writer logs in, will see all the vehicles with faults associated with that dealer, find that one, and the session starts. So it's just a one-click session start. From that session, there's the possible causes, and this again is based on all that field experience. That field experience also includes the tech hotline cases. So from that is the possible causes. And then the possible causes are narrowed down by the isolation tests, which are dynamic trouble trees. So each test is a module that can be combined and ordered and sequenced in different ways depending on the knowledge coming into the system. This is just another look at what that looks like in terms of the code set. The test history, so that's very powerful in terms of if another technician picks up for a session, he can see what was done by the other technician. Then there's the back end, and this is just an example of some of the back end, but the very powerful stuff in terms of, I talked about the diagnostic session history, which feeds the system. And then this is for the analyst, right? So now, in real time, the OEM has access to everything that's going on in all the cars that are out in the field in diagnostic, in the service bay today. So they can start to look at, hey, how many Jeep Cherokees were in last week? What were their potential failures? How many cars was this code set on last week? How many airflow sensors were replaced last week? And what were the diagnostics that got them there? Very, very powerful tools for the OEM in terms of warranty and engineering, recall mitigation and warranty cost mitigation, huge. And what the solution looks like at a real high level, what Tweddle brings to the partnership and what Empolis brings to the partnership. Tweddle brings, of course, the domain knowledge. All we do is automotive for automotive OEMs. So we create the content, we curate that content, we manage the analytics and reports for the OEM. We create all the service bay applications. So all the UI, all of the auto answer features, those are specific applications for the service bay. They sit on top of the Empolis Smart Information Management System. And then the OEM system integration, that is where I talked about the DMS, the as-built data, because it's all VIN-specific information. And then on the back end, of course, is the Empolis system, which we access via the runtime API. We work together on the content transformation, because some of this information, especially the legacy stuff, will be a little more unstructured or a different structure. Most of it's in XML, but some of it is unstructured. The authoring environment, care of Empolis, the knowledge model case base, and ultimately the content repository comes from Empolis. So what this means. It's been in pilot for several months, longer than we wanted, but it's still moving pretty fast. But anyway, we did a test study, actually managed by an OEM, and we used certain technicians at certain levels of experience, and they performed a diagnostic based on certain diagnostic codes, based on the way they would do it. Gave them access to the existing information. Some of the guys who've been around forever had their own stuff. Some of them brought their own testers. It was unbelievable, right? Some of them had, they felt they knew what they were doing, and this is the times of these 4 technicians and their experience. Their first time was 18 minutes, 33 minutes, 32 minutes, 16 minutes. With our system, it was 8 minutes across the board. So the guy with less than 5 years experience could diagnose it just as fast as the guy with 20+ years experience. Now, one of the OEM guys came to me and says, well, all you guys really did was optimize the procedure based on knowledge. And I said, yes, that's the point. That's the whole point here, guys. And if you take all that knowledge and make it available quickly in real time, you get these type of results. So very, very powerful system. So thank you. Hopefully that was short and sweet, but informative. And any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you very much, Pat. I skipped this one, but I take it now, because you might have seen a lot of common things between Tweddle and Empolis in this presentation, and I wanted to talk about our similar haircut, but I'm not doing that now. We do it later on.
Okay, all right.
So my question when I saw the 8 minutes was, wow, how do you want to get rid of all the experienced stuff now? Because somebody with less skills can do it in less the time.
Good question. The answer is no. I'm not sure what the situation here is in Europe, but there is a significant shortage of technicians in the United States right now. Trade workers in all trades, very significant. Either you want to be a computer programmer or you're a laborer. You don't have those skilled trades, and there are going to be hundreds of thousands of technicians short in the next 5 to 10 years in the United States. So this isn't replacing anybody. In fact, you need those guys because they're the FI, right? They're the field experience. They're the field intelligence. So they're going to help us feed this thing as long as they're there, and they're helping the other guys. They're lifting everybody up. So it's a good thing for everybody.
Any questions from the audience? Andreas.
So thanks, Pat. The question that I have is, what you showed us, what does that mean for those guys who produce the information? So what does that mean for the daily work of a technical writer if he goes from maybe where he comes to be more in the active and to code knowledge more than maybe he does just code information, what he did in the past?
Well, as I said, their role changes, going the wrong way on my deck here. Their role changes because they won't be agonizing going through failure mode analysis, FMEAs from engineering to build the correct trouble tree, absolutely trying to make it perfect out the gate as if it can never be updated again. Their job now is to really aggregate and curate knowledge from engineering and then quickly aggregate and curate knowledge from the field. So they become, as I said, instead of a technical writer, we call them KBDs, or knowledge-based developers. So they're there to manage, monitor, and update that knowledge base. Because it's not a forum system, right? It's not technicians throw a bunch of stuff in and every technician gets access to it. It's got to be proctored and curated. And that's what these guys are going to do. And we can raise their billing rates too.
Was another question over there?
Hagen Hulsch. Pat, this was really exciting. It's also an aspect of artificial intelligence. Now, the question is future. Let's assume you have new systems developed by engineers. How would the information now available from the existing technicians, how would you get this new information into a database without having those technicians, those specialized engineers, which need 38 minutes in order to get the problem analyzed? That's probably another challenge for your system. Probably you need special engineers to handle that issue, I assume, but maybe you have thought about it.
Yeah, so again, this is back to this whole concept of knowledge-based developers. So that instead of them, again, agonizing on FMEAs, which they still got to review them, right? But they're part of their role now is field curation of that knowledge. So we're bringing those key master technicians into the authoring process to make sure that we're deriving as much of that known knowledge immediately. So again, the technical writer's role changes completely. Right? Because the guy in the field, the master tech, knows far more than these technical writers usually.
Kanz Knudsen. Pat, I think I missed some part of in your answer to the last question. So it's okay for that side, for the technical writers. There you bring the agility into the creation and curation process. But on the other hand, if you have technicians who don't have to be innovative to solve problems by their own, just using the information they have out of the system and being faster than before, how do you solve these innovative part of creating new knowledge for unknown problems? So
in the interface, you saw the possible causes list. That possible causes list is clickable, and at the bottom you can see it. You can add a new cause. So we're not forcing. There might be a little bit. We're playing with the idea now that depending on the skill of the technician, the UI may be different by technician. But the master tech will really just get the possible causes and a little isolation test, and they can add another one. They can say, nope, it was this. So we're not forcing them to say it must be one of these. We're saying no, give us your knowledge. If you don't believe it is, tell me what you did and tell me why. And so that goes back into the system. That's immediately flagged for the knowledge-based developer to interrogate. So yeah, we don't force them down anything, especially those high-level guys. And so their roles will be different in the system.
no more questions, then again, if you would like to see something of the tool in a live environment, please feel free to ask Hans-Josef. He's out there and he can show it whenever you like to see how it's running in the pilot. And Pat, thanks again for coming. It's great having you here.